Every night, your mind travels somewhere else, a place where logic fades, time breaks, and your body stops obeying the rules. We call it sleep, but sleep isn't simple. It has layers, from ordinary dreams to the most terrifying, unexplained phenomena. Tonight, we're going to descend through all of them. Level 1. The surface of sleep, sleepwalking. Sometimes, the body refuses to stay still. During deep sleep, a person can stand up, walk around, or even perform simple actions while being completely unconscious. To an observer, it looks deliberate, eyes open, movements purposeful, but the person is still asleep, trapped in a state between wakefulness and dream. By morning, they usually remember nothing at all. False awakening. A false awakening feels exactly like waking up. You open your eyes, see your room, the ceiling, the phone beside the bed. Everything seems real until something small feels off. The clock shows the wrong time, or the light looks strange. You try to get up, only to realize you're still asleep. Some people experience this over and over, stuck in a cycle of waking up inside another dream. Nightmares. Nightmares are the first sign that dreams can turn against us. They're vivid, emotional, and often violent. Falling, being chased, losing control. The fear they generate jolts us awake, making them easier to remember. Psychologists see nightmares as the brain's attempt to process anxiety or trauma, but throughout history, people viewed them as omens, curses, or messages from something darker. Sleep deprivation. When we deny ourselves sleep, the body fights back. Reaction time slows, focus fades, emotions become unstable. Prolonged deprivation leads to memory issues, weakened immunity, and sometimes even brief episodes of microsleep. Moments when the brain shuts down for a few seconds while we're still awake. That's why drivers can fall asleep at the wheel without realizing it. Dreams of the dead. Many people report dreaming about relatives who've passed away. These dreams are often unusually vivid. You can hear their voice, feel their presence, even speak with them. Psychologists believe it's part of emotional recovery, a way for the mind to process grief. Others see it differently, as something more, a final message or proof that the connection never truly ended. Narcolepsy. Narcolepsy is a disorder where the boundary between sleep and wakefulness begins to collapse. People with narcolepsy can suddenly fall asleep during the day, sometimes in the middle of a conversation. It's often accompanied by cataplexy, a sudden loss of muscle control triggered by strong emotions. The cause is linked to a lack of a neurotransmitter that helps regulate alertness. It can't be cured, but with strict routines and medication, it can be managed. Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea causes breathing to stop repeatedly during the night, sometimes hundreds of times. It can be caused by physical obstruction in the throat or by the brain failing to send the right signals to breathe. Loud snoring, constant tiredness, and morning headaches are common symptoms. Over time, it increases the risk of heart disease and high blood pressure. It's one of the most dangerous sleep disorders because most people don't even know they have it. Falling dreams. Almost everyone knows the feeling of suddenly falling in a dream. You're walking or standing somewhere high, and suddenly the ground disappears. Just before impact, the body jerks awake, a reflex known as a hypnic jerk. It's harmless, but unsettling. Scientists say it happens when the brain misinterprets muscle relaxation as a sign of danger. Sleep seems simple on the surface, predictable, harmless, safe, but deeper layers hold stranger things. Dreams that blur with reality, paralysis, hallucinations, and fears that never fade with waking. Welcome to Level 2, the fractured mind. Lucid dreaming. A lucid dream is when you become aware that you're dreaming. You can look around, think clearly, and even change the dream's environment. Some people learn to control every detail, to fly, to visit places that don't exist, to meet anyone they want. It sounds incredible, but there's a catch. The more aware you become, the closer you get to waking up, and sometimes that awareness triggers something much worse. Sleep paralysis. It happens when the brain wakes up, but the body doesn't. You're conscious, but completely unable to move. You feel pressure on your chest, a presence in the room, sometimes even see figures standing near your bed. It's a byproduct of REM sleep when your muscles are shut down to prevent movement during dreams. But in this state, the mind misfires, and dreams bleed into the real world. That's why so many people describe it the same way: awake, paralyzed, and watched. Parasomnia. Parasomnias are abnormal behaviors that occur during sleep. Things like talking, walking, or even eating while unconscious. They can be harmless, or they can become dangerous when actions turn violent. In extreme cases, people have driven cars, cooked meals, or attacked others while technically asleep. It's as if the brain forgets which parts should be awake and which should rest. Dreams about games. The digital age brought a new kind of dream. Gamers often report vivid dreams set inside the worlds they spend hours in, Minecraft for instance. The brain, overstimulated by repetitive visuals and logic loops, starts to rebuild those virtual spaces during sleep. Sometimes these dreams are relaxing, other times they're unsettling. Endless blocky landscapes, eerie sounds, and no escape. It's not supernatural, just the brain trying to process simulation as reality. Somnophobia. Somnophobia is the fear of falling asleep. It can come from recurring nightmares, trauma, or a fear of losing control. People with this condition often delay sleep until exhaustion wins, turning bedtime into a source of panic. Over time, the fear itself begins to distort perception, as if even closing your eyes could trap you somewhere you can't wake up from. Rett syndrome. Rett syndrome is a rare neurological disorder that mostly affects girls, caused by mutations in a specific gene. Among many symptoms, it severely disrupts sleep, constant awakenings, breathing irregularities, and episodes of screaming during the night. It's a reminder that even genetic errors can reach deep into the structure of dreaming, twisting one of the most natural processes into something chaotic and frightening. Dreams with mirrors. Mirrors in dreams are unsettling. They don't always reflect what they should. Sometimes you see yourself clearly, other times, a stranger. Psychologically, mirrors represent self-awareness. In dreams, they act as checkpoints, moments when the brain tests its own perception. When the reflection moves on its own, it's not a supernatural sign. It's the mind glitching under the strain of self-recognition. Out-of-body experiences. An out-of-body experience, or OBE, feels like your consciousness detaches from your physical body. It can happen during sleep, trauma, or meditation. Some describe floating above their own body, watching themselves sleep. Science explains it as a temporary disconnect between sensory input and body perception. The brain loses track of where it is. For the person experiencing it, though, it can feel disturbingly real. Coma dreams. When the body shuts down, the mind doesn't always follow. People who wake from comas sometimes describe vivid, continuous dream worlds that lasted days, months, or even years in their perception. It's believed that the brain, deprived of normal sensory input, creates its own reality to fill the void. For them, waking up can feel like dying, leaving one world for another. Withdrawal dreams. During withdrawal from substances like alcohol or medication, the brain rebounds violently. Dreams become chaotic, emotional, and hyperreal, often mixing hallucinations with real memories. The sudden absence of chemicals that suppressed REM sleep causes an overload of vivid dreaming. It's the brain detoxing from its own distortions. Sleep isn't peaceful anymore. Here consciousness starts to splinter, and the border between reality and imagination collapses. Every layer beneath this one is stranger, more unpredictable, more dangerous. Welcome to Level 3. Technology rarely works in dreams. One of the first clues that you're dreaming is the failure of technology. Phones don't display text correctly, screens flicker, clocks show impossible times. That's because the brain can't simulate consistent logical systems while dreaming. It focuses on emotion, not detail. Machines in dreams become unstable, reminding us that we've left the real world behind. Exploding head syndrome. Exploding head syndrome sounds terrifying, but it's harmless. Just as you're falling asleep, you hear a loud bang, a crash, or even an explosion inside your head. There's no pain, just shock. Scientists believe it happens when the brain misfires during the transition into sleep, activating the auditory cortex all at once. It feels apocalyptic, but it's only noise generated by your own mind. Fever dreams. High body temperature alters the brain's chemistry, pushing dream logic to extremes. Fever dreams are chaotic, fragmented, and often nightmarish. Distorted shapes, impossible geometry, repeating sounds. They occur because heat disrupts REM regulation, making the dream world unstable and anxious. It's the mind's equivalent of overheating hardware. Fatal insomnia. Fatal familial insomnia is one of the rarest and most horrifying diseases known. It's caused by a genetic mutation that destroys the part of the brain responsible for sleep. Victims gradually lose the ability to rest. At first, they experience mild insomnia, then total sleeplessness. Within months, hallucinations begin, followed by dementia, and inevitably, death. There's no cure. The brain simply burns itself out. Nicotine patch dreams. Nicotine patches can cause unusually vivid and sometimes disturbing dreams. The constant flow of nicotine stimulates the brain during REM sleep, intensifying imagery and emotion. Users report lucid nightmares, hyper-realistic visuals, and even full sensory hallucinations. It's not magic, just chemistry, but it shows how fragile the dreaming state really is. Sleep at this level becomes unstable. Every system, chemical, electrical, psychological, starts to falter. Dreams no longer follow rules, and consciousness itself begins to distort. Next, level 4, the dark side of sleep, where sleep stops being strange and starts being dangerous. Sudden unexplained nocturnal death syndrome. In some parts of the world, healthy people, usually young men, die suddenly in their sleep with no clear medical cause. In the Philippines, it's called bangun got. In Thailand, lai tai, victims are found with signs of cardiac arrest, but no underlying disease. Scientists suspect a rare heart rhythm disorder, but many who live where it occurs still believe something else, that something visited them in their sleep and refused to let them wake up. Katathrenia. Katathrenia, or nocturnal groaning, is a disorder where people exhale with long, low moans during sleep. It's not pain, not a nightmare, just a strange malfunction in the breathing cycle during REM sleep. The sound can last up to 40 seconds, echoing through the room like a distant cry. To the sleeper, it's silent. To everyone else, it sounds like a haunting. Sleep drunkenness. Also known as confusional arousal, this is when someone wakes up, but their mind doesn't. For a few minutes or longer, they're trapped between consciousness and dream logic, disoriented, aggressive, or speaking nonsense. It's not insanity, it's the brain struggling to reboot after deep sleep, but in those moments, people have done dangerous things, driven cars, fought, even hurt loved ones, with no memory of it later. Sleep texting. In the age of smartphones, even our dreams have gone digital. Sleep texting is a modern form of parasomnia, where people send real messages while asleep, often perfectly coherent but completely forgotten by morning. It happens when muscle memory and habit override awareness. The result? Strange, half-dreaming messages that no one, including the sender, can explain. Paradoxical insomnia. Paradoxical insomnia is one of the strangest conditions known to sleep medicine. People with it are convinced they haven't slept at all, but EEG scans show normal sleep cycles throughout the night. Their brains perceive wakefulness even while they're unconscious. It's like a dream of insomnia that continues into reality. The mind cannot rest, even when the body already has.